Hello and thank you for joining us on CBS 8 Plus. I'm Heather Myers. Here at CBS 8, we are working for you and getting to the bottom of problems that you've asked about. We're looking for solutions. With Super Tuesday quickly approaching, San Diegans have already started voting in the March primary, and there's one proposition on the ballot that asks voters to decide on a multi-billion-dollar bond. Some viewers reached out wondering what exactly is a bond and who pays for it. Working for you, CBS 8's Steve Price breaks it all down with the help of a local political science professor.
We hear the word bonds a lot in elections. In fact, you're going to find one on the current ballot for our state primary. But what is that and why do we need them? I'm going to answer those questions, not to convince you how to vote, but to give you the information you need to make an informed decision. Simply put, bonds are like a mortgage on a house. Government agencies borrow a specific amount of money, which then must be repaid over time.
The idea with bonds is that they're investments that will help the state grow and develop.
Bonds pay for things like roads, educational infrastructure, and water projects.
Give or take a few percentage points, about 5% of our budget every year goes to bonds.
Working for you, let's take a closer look at Prop 1 in the March primary. It would have the state borrow and spend $6.4 billion. $2 billion of that is aimed at homelessness. That'll go into a state program that uses existing hotels and motels to house people. It also builds some new housing units. The bigger slice would pay for new facilities for mental health and addiction treatment. $6.4 billion of bonds cost billions of dollars to borrow. This is the government's version of taking out a 30-year mortgage. The payments plus interest, about $310 million a year, according to the state's analyst. How do we pay for it? Prop 1 has no new taxes. In fact, it has no plan at all to pay these bonds. It would come out of the state's regular budget.
Prop 1 works exactly like nearly every bond in California does. It says this won't raise your taxes specifically. It'll just add to the overall debt level that the state has to pay.
Since Proposition 1 is a statewide vote, it only needs a simple majority to pass. Local bonds have a higher threshold depending on how the money will be used, ranging from 55% up to a 2/3 vote. Those local bonds will most likely show up on your property tax bill. In fact, you're probably paying on dozens of them right now.
Californians are generally quite open to passing bonds through the proposition process. And about 2/3 of the bonds that come up before voters on their ballot are supported.
By the way, several bond-related measures are already moving forward to be placed on the November ballot. Working for you, Steve Price, CBS 8.
Steve, thank you. Money set aside to help people cover their water bills during the pandemic is about to dry up. Well, now a new bill has been introduced that aims to make that assistance permanent nationwide. CBS 8's Jenny Day is working for you and has information that could help if you are struggling to pay your bills.
The first ever National Water Assistance Program went into effect right at the heart of COVID. Congress approved about $1 billion, and it helped more than 1 million families keep the water on. And that's why Senator Alex Padilla is suggesting the federal government continue to help.
Access to clean drinking water is, a fundamental human right. It's not a luxury. We need it to bathe, we need it to cook, we need it to hydrate our bodies.
Good, safe, clean drinking water may be considered a fundamental right, but not all can afford it. We Zoomed with Senator Alex Padilla from Capitol Hill. He says 1 in 3 Americans struggle to pay their water bill.
The cost of water has been going up for a number of reasons, whether it's the need to modernize infrastructure, the need to ensure that the water running through the pipes is clean.
The low-income household water assistance program prevented the water from being turned off for 753,000 homes and reduced 679,000 water bills. It now needs congressional approval to continue. The Democratic senator backing the bill compared it to home energy and nutrition assistance, saying water rate assistance is crucial for public health and economic prosperity.
For the same reasons that there's federal programs and resources available to help people pay their gas bill, because we know that as a country, you shouldn't freeze in the winter just because you're low income.
Senator Padilla told me household water and sewer bills have risen more than 50% over the past decade. The average San Diegan set to pay $100 a month by this time next year due to recent rate hikes.
People should not be put in the position of Can you afford the water bill or can you afford the rent?
The proposed bill suggests having the same income eligibility requirements as other programs like LIHEAP, SNAP, and TANF, as well as SSI, the Supplemental Security Income, and means-tested veterans programs. So if you already qualify for one of those, you'd be in for this.
Sometimes there are significant costs to maintain infrastructure that's needed, and not as many people willing to absorb big spikes in your water bill. And so just from a fairness and equity standpoint, we know this program is needed.
And there's no specific timeline for when this bill could be voted on. Senator Padilla said the focus this week is avoiding a government shutdown. Working for you, Jenny Day, CBS 8.
Jenny, thank you. Some people living in unincorporated La Mesa are furious about new traffic lights being installed on Fury Lane. Some say they don't fit the neighborhood, while others are welcoming them, saying that they make the area safer. CBS 8's Kirsten Holmes is working for you and spoke with the county about these new street lights going up.
It's like the intersection made a way to intrude into our backyard.
This homeowner near the intersection of Fury Lane and Costa Verde says this has got to go.
Right now they don't even have the lights on, but the street lights are lit and the white lights are lit. It's like daylight at nighttime.
One neighbor is dealing with this. If you take a look behind me, you can see that there are street signs just hanging over her fence, tall poles, and those lights get really bright at night. And not far from there, this neighbor says this once gorgeous view is now obstructed by street poles, and those come with cameras.
With this view in this backyard, the house has a certain value. What they've done now is they have diminished that value along with the quality of life.
Bob Barrett says all of this is just unnecessary.
If you're going to put in something in a residential neighborhood, put something that fits in the neighborhood. They put 4 more street lights with cameras that I'm concerned about because they could be encroaching in our backyard when my kids play.
We went to work for you on this story to get answers about why these street lights were installed and what can be done to make their presence less of a burden to these neighbors. Donna Durkle with the San Diego County Land Use and Environment Group says the traffic signal is still under construction. They've installed new street lights and will remove the old ones. That means fewer poles in the air. The county also says the street signals themselves will have blinds on them that make them visible to oncoming traffic only, and they won't be visible in anyone's yards or homes. The county goes on to say the signal was approved by the County Board of Supervisors back in 2021 to make the intersection safer from traffic accidents. And the intersection is near Avocado Elementary School and a private preschool. Some neighbors say something's gotta give.
This monstrosity that they put here, I'm not sure it's necessary for such a small, it's a 2-lane road with a T intersection. I don't know why you would need something so massive.
Kirsten, thanks. Now, while we were out working for you, a neighbor came out to thank the construction workers for making this intersection safer. Some other people we spoke with did not want to go on camera, but called CBS 8 directly saying they love the streetlights and they want to make sure that their voices were heard as well. Now to Encanto, where people describe their neighborhood park as frozen in time, saying the city of San Diego ignored it for years. Emerald Hills Park is just one of 2 playground areas, and people tell us it's looking pretty sad. The equipment doesn't work. CBS 8's Shannon Handy is working for you, getting to the bottom of why it has not been fixed, even though the city secured funding for it.
It's not 5-year-old Noah's favorite playground. He just plays here because it's the closest one to his house.
Well, I really want to see it's nice and clean.
You want a nice and clean playground? Noah speaks for a lot of people in Encanto who say Emerald Hills Park is anything but a shining example of what a recreation area should be.
A little run down, old, probably built in '78 when the houses were built around here.
Yeah, everyone talks about how run down the playground equipment is here.
Abby Martin is Noah's mom. She calls portions of the park embarrassing. Take this slide, for example, which is dented and made of metal, making it too dangerous for kids on hot days. The climbing structure is rusted and has chipped paint. Then there are these so-called spring riders, which don't move at all.
Maybe these might need some springy movers.
They're part of a long list of complaints neighbors have. The tennis and basketball courts are cracked and the bathrooms are run down. Add in the water fountains, which they'd like to see replaced as well. This petition on change.org is calling on this city to revamp the entire area, saying it's been ignored for too long.
It's not meeting the needs of the community now.
Evelyn Smith has lived in the area for 50 years. During that time, she says the neighborhood has grown, yet the park hasn't evolved. Evelyn chairs both the Emerald Hills Town Council as well as the Encanto Park and Rec Board. She told me Emerald Hills was slated a few years ago to get a new park, which will include an amphitheater and dog park, but progress has been slow, in part because there's not enough money for it.
We have some fundings, but we do not have enough funds to do the entire park.
I checked with the city and found Emerald Hills Park listed on its website as a to-be-determined project with no set date. So I reached out to a spokesperson who said they are working to get answers to the questions I have. In the meantime, people around here will continue to wait for an update, which they hope will happen soon.
They want a park just like we have in the parks on the north of 8. We want nice things for the children of this community.
Some cuties there. Shannon, thanks. Again, the city did respond because it said that so many departments are involved in this. They need more time to get all the information that we asked for. We will, of course, keep you updated when we learn more. Abandoned storefronts are deteriorating before their eyes, and now people in University City want to know what's going on with the Costa Verde shopping center. CBS 8's Brian White is working for you to find out what's happening in this old strip mall.
Here at the old Costa Verde shopping center, the property is surrounded by fencing and the buildings have been vacant for years, and neighbors around here just want to know what's going on.
I see a dilapidated, vacant dump is the only way really to explain it.
When I talked to neighbors around here, one word kept popping up.
It's an eyesore. It's an eyesore.
Oh, this is a complete eyesore.
The 14-acre site on Genesee Avenue right across from the Westfield UTC Mall used to have a Bristol Farms grocery store and other favorites like Chipotle and Starbucks, to name a few.
I miss all the amenities that used to be there. If you forgot your milk for your coffee, you could go to Bristol Farms and just walking distance.
The property is currently owned by Alexandria Real Estate. This is one of their offices in Torrey Pines. They bought the 35-year-old strip mall for $125 million more than 2 years ago, with plans to tear it all down and redevelop.
Retail plus some mid-rise office buildings that are going to be used for medical research.
So it sounds like it'd be nice.
Let's hope so, yeah, if it ever gets built.
So I called Alexandria Real Estate but couldn't get a hold of anybody, so I looked up their plans on the City of San Diego's Development Services website. Their permits were approved several years ago to revitalize the property with 400,000 square feet of bioscience labs and offices next to 178,000 square feet of retail space, along with a 10-story, 200-room hotel.
Since then, everything's been on delay, and I have no idea what they're going to do or when they're going to do it.
After digging, I found that the company recently applied for an extension of time on their permit, which was about to run out. The city's Development Services Department will decide whether to grant them a 3-year extension sometime after February 29th. And if they do, the project can then move forward. In the meantime, neighbors around here are anxious to see something happen.
I hope they do turn it into some sort of high-tech campus. I think, considering the neighborhood and all the bioresearch and the high-tech that's in the neighborhood, it would fit in beautifully.
Working for you in University City, Brian White, CBS 8.
Now to a story several people reached out to us about earlier this week. An unusual smell in the air, something like burning plastic or a burning chemical scent, and we got a lot of calls about it. So we went to work for you to find out the source of that mystery burning smell in San Diego. CBS 8's Jasmine Ramirez has the story.
I smelled something burning, sort of like burnt wire or something like that.
Many compare the odor to burning electrical wires and say they first noticed it this morning.
About 7 o'clock, and it just smelled it smelled like fire, but not like a forest fire, kind of like a metallic-y type of fire.
Yeah. A lot of people comparing it to like chemicals or electrical.
Yep.
We looked it up and we saw something about like cars on fire in a parking lot or something. Like it was really random. So
who knows?
We don't know. But it kind of went away after a while.
We checked in with San Diego Fire. The department received a few calls from around the city, but says it hasn't been able to confirm where the smell was coming from or what it might be. Here at CBS 8, we saw people reporting a strange smell in La Mesa, Santee, PB, Hillcrest, and Escondido. Many took to social media. Henry Bradley said the smell was reminiscent of when a Navy ship was on fire a few years ago, referring to when the USS Bonhomme Richard burned for several days in 2020. Another viewer from a zip code in the Chula Vista and IB area says it was burning her eyes.
I was walking to the gym around 7 and just smelled a burning smell outside of the hotel.
We also asked the San Diego County Air Pollution Control District about the smell. They received several calls and sent agents into the field but haven't found a source. Their monitoring team says the air quality numbers haven't changed. CBS 8 also reached out to the city of San Diego, the county, and the California Air Resource Board, but as of tonight, no answers.
It's a little spooky, right? Maybe someone was having a bonfire, I don't know.
Thank you, Jasmine. We did contact the Navy and the Marines and asked if they had any knowledge of what the smell could be. We are still waiting for a response, so for now, it is still a mystery. Remember, if there's something that you would like us to look into, you can email us at workingforyou@cbs8.com. Thanks for joining us here on CBS 8 Plus. We'll see you next time.